Ace pilot, Colonel Bud Anderson.
I'm Clarence E. Bud Anderson, retired Colonel, United States Air Force. I was in the Army, of course, in World War II because we didn't have a United States Air Force.
After the Japanese attacked us at Pearl Harbor, and all the arguing was over, our politicians got together and spoke with one voice in foreign policy. And then the nation got together, and we mobilized completely. Our country was completely devoted to the war effort. Patriotism was at an all-time high, higher than we'll probably ever see again. You saw a little bit of it around Desert Storm and 9/11, but multiply that times 10,000 and you might get an idea of how patriotic the people were during World War II. It was because everybody was involved. Every family had somebody in the service. All able-bodied men were in uniform, and if you weren't in uniform and you were able-bodied, you were probably involved in war effort somehow or other. So that was the good part of it. What was the bad part of it, the worst of times? Well, for me, it was a tragic loss of human life. Not just military losses, not just military casualties, but the tremendous loss of civilians. And I did, after World War II, I didn't really realize that myself. It was later on when I started giving talks and things, and you got to get your facts together. So I started reading some of the history books, and I was shocked to learn that the historians can't even figure out how many people died as a result of World War II. They say that 50 to 60 million people died as a direct result of World War II. Can anybody in this audience comprehend those kind of numbers? I can't. The Air Corps had this philosophy that they could, by bombing in the daylight with the Norden bomb sight, they could be so accurate that they could go and destroy the war-making capability of the enemy. And they thought the bombers were so good because they fly in big formations, and they had all these machine guns and things like that, that they could fight their way in and fight their way out. Remember, we called it the Flying Fortress, right? Well, when they got over there, they found out that, hey, it didn't work that way. They started taking pretty darn good losses. Well, we had P-47s and P-38s in Europe, and so they started using them as their escort. But what the P-47s and the P-38s could not go as far as the B-17s go. So what the Germans would do, they'd just wait until the escort left and then have at them. Well, the raids in late 42, going to Regensburg, they had losses like 60 bombers. That's, like 600 men lost. And they said, well, we can't stand this kind of attrition. We got to have a long-range fighter. And there's a real long story about that, but you'd like to believe it came by brilliant planning, that this Mustang arrived at the right time, at the right place. That isn't the way it happened, but it did get there. This is a story of my first kill, my first victory. And it was in March. We started flying in February, and then in March, I can't remember what mission it was, probably my 7th mission. We started flying pretty good long missions, and we were starting to get kills. And our first squadron kill was by a wingman who some of us thought was probably not the not the most likely guy to get a kill. And how he got it, he got over there trying to follow his leader, and he got lost. And then he thought, oh, there he is. So he goes over there and he chases him. Finally catches up with him. And then he's trying to get up on his wing, and he looked, my God, he had black cross on him. So he slid around behind him and blew him out of the sky. Now, Bud Anderson hasn't even got a one yet. I chased a couple of them, but I haven't shot anybody down, and I'm kind of wondering about myself. You wonder about yourself. How are you going to perform in combat? And about fear. You know, are you going to fight? Are you going to run? You don't know until you really do it. And believe me, there's no glory there. It's a real deal. There's somebody coming across the field over there. He's trying to kill you. It's real. It's not a movie. It's not on TV, and it's not in a video game where you can reset and go fight again. So we're coming back from it was a Berlin mission, as a matter of fact. And I had my flight. I think I had 3 guys in it. And there was another flight that joined us up from another squadron. And we had already been relieved, and we're going home. We're heading back. We dropped down a little bit, and then I looked up ahead of us, way up ahead, and I saw this B-17 all by himself, one engine feathered, a couple smoking, all by himself. And I said, well, shoot, we'll go over there and take him out to the coast. Wow. So I went along, headed over that way, and as we're going, from the other side, here comes 3 ME-109s. So they're bellied up to us, so they can't see us. And here we are. We see them coming right down toward the 109s. And I said, we're all right. I'm the leader of this gaggle of 7. I'm taking one of them, by God. And so I latched onto him. Now we're down at lower altitude, and I learned very late in the war that a ME-109 in the hands of a good pilot down low could give a Mustang a hard time. We were faster than they were. I felt we could outmaneuver them. At altitude, I knew we could, but I didn't know about down at low. Now here's the part where I have a little trouble because I got to use both hands, you know. And so I engaged. They saw us right away, and they broke off their attack. No, I'm going to do it by myself. Somebody always gets hold my mic, and I get both hands in here. So we're making these very tight turns, and during these turns, he's coming at me at a very steep angle, and I'm coming at him at a very steep angle. We can't get our turns coordinated, you know. So that when you want to get a guy, you want to get him at 6 o'clock, you know, right behind. He's out here in front, and you're right behind. That's the way you want to do it. You don't want to be out here at 90 degrees to the target. That's hard to shoot. And so I'm not getting I'm not getting around there like I should, getting on his tail. So I'm thinking, by God, the next time that guy comes around like that steep and I'm coming at him like this, I'm going to pull my nose through. You know, I won't be able to see him. My belly will be up to it, you know, and he'll be under my nose. I'll track him through his line of flight, fire a burst, and then, you know, maybe he'd fly through it. So it goes around another time, and I come back, and I said, all right, this time I'm going to really get it. And I pulled it through there, fired a long burst, and he comes shooting out through my nose, and he's streaming coolant. And hot dog, I got him, you know, with a golden BB. And he pulled up and bailed out immediately. They were over their own country, and they had lots of airplanes. They were short of pilots is what they were short of. And so they would bail out very quickly. So I'm sitting there kind of self-cheering myself, and then I looked over on my right wing, and here's a guy sitting right on my right wing. It was Johnny England from the other squadron, and he already had a couple of kills. England Air Force Base, you know where that is? That's the guy it was named after. And I thought about it, and I said, you know, that really was a lucky shot if I did that. I'd been to a couple gunnery schools, so I knew how to shoot. But so anyway, still got a couple hours, hour and a half to go to get back to England. And by the time I got home, I convinced myself I probably hadn't shot that airplane down. We got in land. I asked my wingman. He said, "I'm sorry." He says, "I was over there bothered, and I didn't really see the whole thing. I can't tell you." And so I filed a claim. You get debriefed by your intelligence people, and I filed a claim. But I said, "Please hold it until I get to talk to somebody." They kind of looked at me funny, but I said, "I got to talk to somebody before I go." So I headed over to the officers' club. That's where we met after we had a big mission. And I said, "Now, how do I confront this guy? What I'm going to say? Hey, you jerk! Did you shoot that thing out from under me?" I didn't know how to bring it up. Without I don't know, what the hell? I got to go over there. I got to do this. So I go over there. I walk into the club, and he's sitting on the end of the bar. I didn't have to say a word. He comes running over to me, and he says, "Andy," he says, "that was the best shot I've ever seen in my life. You got that sucker out there about 60 degrees angle off." I said, "Oh, Johnny, lucky shot." As soon as he turned his back, I rushed to the phone and claimed my first kill.